Yeah, it's free money
Absolutely.
for being intelligent.
Looking at the bigger picture.
People will go to their accountant if they're going through a divorce.
I think perhaps at times, because we represent many landlord clientele, and unfortunately I would say about 20% of them separating for whatever reasons.
So how many miles is it?
It's 3,000 miles.
Majority of lenders, if you're owner of a limited company, for instance,
Yeah.
over 20% share, approximately, you're considered self-employed.
We are dealing with a case right now
Right, okay.
where our customer is a business owner.
We act as an intermediary between traditional financial institutions and challenging markets or really complex businesses.
I think that's why with Family Law Cafe it's all team.
This is the Family Law Cafe podcast on the road.
Oh.
Okay, so guys, we're at Spring Business Expo run by Business Junction. We're doing a bit of live podcasting and we haven't met before, have we? Or have we?
I don't think we have. So my name's Richard.
Yeah.
I'm Haroon.
All right, and Richard, what do you do?
I'm in property finance and mortgages, based in Liverpool Street.
Based in Liverpool Street. Haroon?
Haroon from Burton Highworth. We're a foreign exchange firm based in Mayfair.
And do you guys know each other?
Unfortunately, we do.
Right, so it sounds like there's a bit of a story behind that. How do you know each other?
I'll go. Do you want me to go?
Well, it was that big mug of Starbucks, wasn't
That's
it?
right,
The
yeah, yeah.
oversized float. Richard and I caught up at Liverpool Street Station after a Business Junction event to be properly introduced. And I must have forgotten how big some of the cups were.
Oh, I know, what, that
Starbucks.
gallon thing.
Absolutely. So it was quite embarrassing when you walked in to find me drowning in a massive latte, and I think that helped break the ice.
And you couldn't go, could you? Because you had that coffee. I was like, oh, I just finished my coffee, so you were kind of stuck.
Absolutely.
And just to emphasise that larger cup he had, I had a double espresso, so I had the smallest
Oh
cup.
my God, that's so funny. So you're like, yeah, okay, and then you just had to wait patiently and make conversation.
That's right.
Tell me about what you do then.
So I work with business owners and the entertainment industry, essentially helping them with property finance, from residential, buy-to-lets, portfolio, all the way to commercial property. That's my specialist area, essentially, because you'll find that business owners, they're not always taking out a large salary. They might take a small dividend. So a lot of the time we're working with their business accounts, and we know specialist lenders in that area that have competitive rates.
We are dealing with a case right now
Right, okay.
where our customer is a business owner. And so we made a very, very detailed offer. These negotiations have gone on for 2 years. It came to Family Law Cafe. I was like, why have this not been sorted out? It's made an open offer. And I don't know if you know, but if everything's agreed, so we drew out the consent order, and then you do what's called a statement of information for a financial order. And they'd already made disclosure by full disclosure documents. And so the other side is like, oh, how come you can get this mortgage? How come you can get this mortgage? And we're like, well, we can.
Yeah.
And because she's the business owner, once the husband transfers his shares, and they are questioning that. And so that's right, isn't it? If you own a business, so tell us about that.
So technically, majority of lenders, if you're owner of a limited company, for instance,
Yeah.
over 20% share, approximately, you're considered self-employed.
Yeah.
So essentially, that's where you would have to go through a different type of process. So they'd want to see your SA 302 tax overviews, your business accounts,
Yeah.
a bit more what's going on in the background there.
Yeah.
Maybe even have a conversation or even a letter or reference from the accountants on how the business is going, aspects like that.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of business owners don't realise that.
Yeah.
So sometimes they go to a lender, and traditionally, if you've got a business account with a lender, you might just go to that lender because naturally you've got a great business relation with that.
Yeah.
But they'll have a different policy when it comes to lending in terms of mortgages. So what we find is a lot of business owners will try doing it on their own. Naturally, just going to that bank and they get declined, or they haven't got the right paperwork.
Yeah.
So that's where we can come in. We can find competitive rates in the market, make sure that all of the documentation is done in the correct manner, and we even know lenders that will go on last year's accounts rather than sort of 2 years' accounts and things like that. So you really try and tailor to that individual or that couple's business and self-employment need, really.
So that's really big for what we're doing with financial settlements, because it's really often the case that there'll be one party that has a business.
Sure.
And so often the judge just might say, oh, well, yeah, they're the main shareholder, it might be a family business, they can't really generate any money, the business doesn't get valued. And then they ask for mortgage capacities, and there's no standardisation of these mortgage capacities.
That's right.
So you literally get people saying, oh, well, I can only borrow 70,000. And you're like, huh? And I think the courts need to understand, and very few judges, and I would say barristers too, they all say, well, I know about business. But actually, I don't think they do. I don't think they do, and I don't think they understand that a party who's keeping a business can then use that business and get a really big mortgage. It's a really significant asset, massive piece of information.
So that's really interesting that you raised that. So it's interesting to hear that.
Yeah.
Essentially, again, so for instance, I'm working with a couple at the moment, and they're sort of 50-50 shareholding in the company.
Yeah.
So again, using last year's net profits, for instance, and they've done quite well. So again, that would take into their affordability 50-50 on the net profits and their salary. So yes, you're totally.
So what you do with the business and how you manage doesn't always show, does it? To a like you just went to a high street lender, they would not understand it at all.
Not all high street
Really
lenders. Yeah, that's right. And there's, like I said, there's specialist lenders, but they're very competitive in their rates as well. So, and they're very understanding of business owners. I wouldn't say lenient, but they've got a better understanding of how a self-employed person would operate. You know, money doesn't come in every month. It's sort of ebbs and flows, cash flow.
Yeah.
So they do it, in one lump sum, sort of the SA 302 tax overviews or your net profits. And again, some lenders will only do dividends and salary, and some business owners, they're trying to really drive the business, put the money into the business, and they don't want to take the money out. So, there's different ways to sort of approach it and sort of package it up, really.
That's so interesting, and I think you can see then. You're probably not specialised in divorce finance, but you can see how that argument is very, very interesting to me as a divorce lawyer.
100%. Yeah, it really is an asset. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's move on to Haroon then. Tell me about you, because I just learned something that's just so interesting, and I hope people listening have let that drop. A massive issue. Yeah. Tell me about you.
I mean, similarly to Richard, we're quite a bespoke foreign exchange firm, so I would say the easiest way to narrow it down is we act as an intermediary between traditional financial institutions and challenging markets or really complex businesses. So we will do all of the relevant checks, the KYC and AML that the solicitors will ask for when someone's looking to purchase a property or any form of investment vehicle. But we'll package it up in such a way that we've got all of the information, we've onboarded them with us, and when we make that outbound payment, it's coming from a regulated source, and that makes the process much easier. So we work with lawyers, accountants, different types of property agents, whether it's buying and selling, and really just assisting the buyer in that process, as well as institutional firms, hedge funds, things like that, based offshore.
So tell me, if say it's quite common now that in divorces there are properties abroad. So let's say it's quite a common one, like they might have a family home in England, they might have a chalet in Chamonix or something like that. So what you could do is make sure that when that's dealt with, they're getting the best amount of money for the. Let's say they were selling that chalet. Is that how you might work with?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's say property is being split up.
Yeah.
That money needs to be accounted for, right?
Yeah.
So when it's actually lands, when it's settled in the UK account, it can't just show up out of nowhere, otherwise the account may become frozen. So you need a certain amount of regulatory checks beforehand.
Yeah.
And in addition to that, when you've got a window like a property sale, and there's no real immediate need for working capital, you have a little bit more time to offer some strategy on the transaction. So the rates are moving constantly, and different geopolitical events can affect the currency exchanges as well. So I'm sure you've heard the sterling against the dollar is doing quite well, irrespective of the last 6 months.
Yeah.
So I think it's 1.296 this afternoon. You look back 3 months ago, you'd be struggling to get a 1.245. Now, in English, what that means is you've got about 0.4% difference. But if that's over every single unit of currency, it all adds up.
Yeah, it's free money.
Absolutely.
For being intelligent.
Looking at the bigger picture.
So what are your questions about what we do at Family Law Cafe? Do you know anything about us?
I've just had the pleasure of stumbling across you, so please give me a real overview of your different specialities.
Okay, so what we do is we Well, firstly, we want to network with people like you and understand those things. Like, what I find that when people are going through divorce or separation or trying to see their children or any family law matter, they might start by saying, well, where do we go? Sometimes it comes out of the blue and they don't know how to get their advice or where to get it. And they might just ask around at the pub and their friends or their hairdresser, like, do you know a lawyer? And they might just go to a firm that's completely inappropriate to them. So what we're doing is we're really offering all of markets. Imagine that you have a problem. We like to listen to the person that has a problem and then figure out, okay, this is kind of a way that, what are you aiming for? In a year's time, where do you want to get to? And then we will work out a strategy. We use an online case base so everything is secure. So I've invested in tech. So there's really good law tech so that you can use your phone or your tablet or your computer. And then we get the lawyers that you need. So as an example, by, the information you've given, well, both of you, we were like, oh yeah, we know we would probably get in touch with you. So the customer would come to us with whatever issue they had.
Yeah.
They would pay usually a monthly fee, and then they would pay an upgrade if they wanted anything specialist. So we are a cafe. Our slogan at the moment, there is another way. So you're coming to us, someone that's going through a family law case, and we're using tech to keep the costs down. We're using tech to, network out there and get all of the really expert advice you need. And then we're making sure that you're not just paying for things like photocopying and, that your lawyer has a massive office. Well, who do you think's paying for that massive office? It's you, and often, I used to have a solicitor's firm in the past. I am a barrister. So I know that people might come into a solicitor's firm and they don't really know where they're going. And the solicitor sends out a letter, they get a reply, and it carries on. And before you know it, they spend loads of money with no sense of direction at all. As a barrister, I was often doing cases and I would go into court for the final hearing. And then someone might have spent like £350,000. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, maybe if you got your advice earlier, you would have spent a lot less.
Yeah.
You've now wasted a lot of money, and that's affected the assets we have to share. So that's kind of really, really long-winded explanation. But the idea is get everything done in one place, get all the expertise you need, and make it really directional and intentional, which I think people understand now. There's no point just getting into something without knowing where you're going, what your outcome is.
No, that's it.
So
I think without fear of
doing.
sounding too corporate,
Yeah.
it's, you're building your own ecosystem of trusted service providers.
Yes.
That all have, the same aim in sight, the same
Yeah.
general direction of
Yeah.
travel, which is giving exemplary service to private clients,
Yeah.
and helping them along the journey rather than just charging them fees
Yeah.
for things which they really don't, they don't really understand what the service is for until someone
Yeah.
sits down and takes the time to explain to them, the pros and the cons of using the cheaper service, if you would like,
Yeah.
and the more bespoke solutions.
Yeah, I'm always trying to learn something new myself, and I've been in family law for 34 years. I kind of just got sick and tired of it about 2012, and I thought, oh, everyone's going to do this. They're going to use tech. And when I started in about 2016, I got a lot of investors saying, oh, are you going to use AI? I was like, well, probably, but people are not ready for that yet. What you first got to do is understand them, and you've got to make it easy. So I don't really emphasize the tech side of it because it's just got to work. And I made sure that it's as easy to use as Facebook, so people get on it. It's very simple. There's always people in the office, Monday to Friday, on the phone if you need help. So we're trying to give people all the best of everything. And as you say, get in experts who know their stuff. So people don't have a problem paying for something that's worth it. I think they should have a problem paying for something which is not worth it. And it's a bit of a minefield. If you're going through a divorce, you're all emotional, and people can end up spending money just because they're vulnerable. And I hate to see that, I'll be honest. So good idea.
It sounds really good because I think there is a place for AI now, but I think
Yeah.
what AI can't do is still build that human connection.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's an emotional time.
Yeah.
People getting separated, whatever reason, right or wrong, whatever, it's emotional for everybody.
Yeah.
I don't think at the moment AI can replace that. It's got its place, but what you do is there's an interface, and either arm around the shoulder, or maybe someone needs to have a sort of more of a tough talk in terms of how this is going to work. But it's just someone they can sort of feel they can trust. That's going to be fair, I think. That sounds.
Yeah, it's absolutely right. I mean, AI is a tool, and you really got to know what you're doing. And the worst thing you can do is just like, hey, what's the answer? It's not going to give you the answer. You've got to know what you're looking for. You've got to work hard on it. So we use it for certain aspects, but you've got to be very, very careful. Obviously, you could never enter anything confidential. I mean, no, because it's going to go out there. So we're very, very careful in what we do. And I think there's some dangers with it, obviously, and as lawyers we've got to be really on top of that. As professionals we do, but we should be using it to make mundane tasks simple, because it should be used as a tool. So it's a massive opportunity. Guys, let's go and party. That's been really fun. It's been really fun listening to you. Make sure we swap cards.
Yes.
And yeah.
Thank you very much.
Have a great time.
Thank you.
Arif, we just met. Tell
Yes.
us what you do.
I'm a chartered accountant. We
Yeah.
specialize into property clientele and probate, but we have often worked very closely with the lawyers such as yourself, Fiona, on the divorce settlements part of it, doing the computations on
Yeah.
the each shares, spouses, and so on. Yeah.
I find that people will go to their accountant if they're going through a divorce or
A divorce,
separation.
yeah.
And then I think they expect the accountant to be the lawyer sometimes, and it's not quite the same, is it?
It is indeed. I think perhaps at times, because we represent many landlord clientele, and unfortunately, I would say about 20% of them end up separating for whatever reasons.
Yeah.
We are the first person
Yeah.
to know, first point of contact.
Yeah.
And then again, we've been asked to refer a law firm
Yeah.
for their smooth transition. I believe
Yeah.
there has to be 2 law firms representing each of them, isn't it?
Usually. They
Usually.
have changed that though.
Oh,
that
have
you
they?
can just have one.
Okay.
But I have my reservations about that, because I think if you're going to move to a separate life, the likelihood is your interests are going to be slightly different. And also, even if you have similar interests, when you each have a lawyer, I find that you're likely to get a better settlement, because the tension between the 2 lawyers who try and do the best for their client usually results in a better, long-lasting
Yeah.
settlement.
Perhaps it's more on the word of conflict of interest, isn't it? If it's one person
Yeah.
representing both the...
It's a new thing that they have said you can have the same
Yeah.
lawyer, but I think that you've got to be really careful. I mean, it could work. It does work sometimes, but I think it's something that needs really careful thought.
Have you done this before in terms of representing both parties?
There are some people that come to Family Law Cafe and they're totally agreed about everything. And we say, if you're agreed and you don't want any advice, fine, we can do all the papers, get them all done, and that's fine. So we do that. We've got about 3 of those at the moment. Yeah.
And if, say, for example, us as an accounting firm would like to refer you a client,
yeah.
how do we go about it? How the
You just
the
literally-
client can first break the
Yeah.
ice in terms of contacting you? Because every time they think of approaching a lawyer, there's this hourly rate which goes into the
We're
bracket.
completely
How we can
different.
overcome that pass?
We're completely different. I just want to introduce Mert, who's sitting there so patiently.
Go on.
No. I just want to introduce you first. So, Mert, just tell us about yourself. I want to hold that and answer that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Can you
tell us
hear
about
me?
You.
You
Yeah,
can-
yeah.
yeah. My name is Mert. I'm working on printing industry. We are producing printing product like this.
Do you
Yeah.
like the printing?
Yeah.
I think it's really nice quality.
Yeah, and signage, poster, business cards, leaflets, signboard, pull-up banner. Where do you produce it?
Oh, I don't know, because we have someone who came to him, actually one of our customers. He said, "You need a rebrand." I'm like, "No, we're
from your
fine."
customer?
No. He is a specialist
Uh-huh.
brand designer, creative, and he insists on getting his own printing. So you need to talk to him.
Yeah.
He's very, very fussy, and everything has to be printed in a particular way. And I get it, because it's representing us, our values, what we do. We want to do things well. So I let him.
Actually,
decide.
we are quicker than them.
Well, yeah. I mean, you want to talk to him. I
Yeah.
trust him.
I'm gonna give you my information after our conservation. Huh?
And you've got a family business, haven't you?
Yeah.
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 Was
Our-
it set up by your parents?
Yeah, our main company in Turkey, and we were selling printing machines in there. You know Xerox.
Yes.
We are owner of Xerox Turkey,
Yes.
and we are distributor of Epson, Fujifilm, Kendo distribution in there. We are producing our United Kingdom operations little bit different than Turkish operations. We are producing printing product in here, but we're gonna start to sell printing machines. We sign a contract with Kendo firm, Chinese Kendo machines firm,
Yeah.
and we're gonna start to sell printing machines. And we are member of Business Junction.
Yeah.
You also.
Yes, yeah, we are. And yeah, that sounds amazingly.
Yeah.
You're just.
But we
crushing
didn't
it.
met before.
Have we met?
No.
Don't think so. Yeah. No. I've been to a lot of the events, but they have all different ones, don't they? They
Yeah.
have like, so sometimes you don't meet.
You joined before Business Junction
I've
event.
been there for about a year, yeah. But
Okay.
sometimes I'm working so hard I don't even
Uh-huh.
get to the events.
I came to member 2 months ago.
Yeah.
Business
it's
Junction.
really good. I think it's excellent.
Yeah. And I would like to learn your company information more. What do you do and
About
what?
what we do. Okay. So what we do is when someone has a family law problem, they come to us. We have an online platform. Everything's kept really securely. And so we get them the best experts for their case. So anything they need, we get for them. And so we make it easy for them. And I suppose it's like using Uber Eats or something. You have like a whole
Uber
menu of
Eats,
different
okay.
things, and we get what they need. So you were asking me.
Yeah, it would be
Yeah.
interesting to see your website
Yes,
as to
yes.
how it goes on and pans on.
Have a look.
Yeah, I
Have a look
would.
because I think it explains it really well. Take one of those.
Yeah.
But you were asking me how people contact
Yes,
us.
yeah.
So we try and make it really easy. So every day we put up new informative material on every social media, all the main ones like Instagram, LinkedIn, everything. And so contact us through there, or just info@familylawcafe.co.uk, or call us. We have a really easy number, 02039 040506.
Okay.
So we get, and we always have people Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 at the end of the phone, or go on our website. We try and make everything easy for people because they're going through a horrible traumatic situation.
They are indeed. Yeah.
So the last thing we want to do is make it hard. We never charge for all the initial meetings, and we might have more than one meeting where we're trying to work out how can we help you. You know, are you in the right frame of mind even to get the help? Because some people are just so they're not in an emotionally stable place. So, for example, we spoke to a lady yesterday, and you know she was really traumatized, and I just said get some support for yourself first. I wouldn't even take you on at this stage because you need help. She didn't want to take help, but she really did need it. So hopefully she would get some assistance because going through this is really, really tough.
Yeah.
And so they might speak to you as an accountant and be all like really on top of it, all about the numbers. When they speak to their lawyer, often they would talk about all these emotional things, and they could spend a lot of money with a lawyer because they're not really organised emotionally. So, you know, we have divorce coaches working with us. We have whatever else you need to get your outcome.
Oh, brilliant.
And to be value driven. I'm not saying that, I mean, a lady came to us recently, another lady, saying she'd been told by a lawyer he could do everything for her for £1,800 from beginning to end, financial remedy. And I was like, what? That's crazy.
Yeah, bargain.
But then she said at the first hearing, he didn't have the bundling call, he didn't know what to say, all the questions he asked, the judge threw them out. So it was such a terrible offer, and I said we could never match that, and we wouldn't even try to because it wasn't value driven. It was. I have no idea how anyone could suggest that was possible.
They say you get what you pay for.
I did say that, and she said that, which was already, well, it's worse than her paying nothing because it already put her case in a bad place. because things had already happened, which I didn't even. That doesn't make
I
sense.
guess the obvious byproduct of your work is the financial settlement, isn't
Yes,
it?
we do.
Do you have any partnership, any accounting firm that you pass that business
We
to?
don't have partnerships, but what we do is have a massive network. Because you might be the right person to do a CGT calculation or like this, and we would always reach out to you and say, do you want to do this? What would it cost? So we arrange that for
Brilliant.
our customers.
Great stuff.
So we should definitely talk.
Absolutely.
We should definitely talk.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And great. Enjoy
John,
your day,
thank you
guys.
so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
very much.
Hi, I'm talking to Sam. So Sam, tell me about you. What do you do?
Hi, I'm part of a team of 4 women, and we're going to be rowing across the Atlantic in December this year.
What on earth made you think of doing that?
We're all coastal rowers. We're all part of a community in Essex called the Harker's Yard Gig Association, and we meet up every 2 weeks during the winter series rowing. And one thing led to another. We were in a pub as these things happen, and we decided that the next stage of our rowing career was to row across the Atlantic.
Actually do.
Yeah.
So how many miles is it?
It's 3,000 miles.
3,000 miles.
Yes.
And how long do you expect to take?
We're hoping it'll take 45 days or under. We're leaving La Gomera, which is near Tenerife, and we're going to Antigua, Nelson Stockyard.
You're crazy. And you probably know historically I used to do a lot of rowing myself, and I'm
Yes.
now doing coastal rowing, which I love doing. But yeah, I don't think I would be doing 3,000 miles.
Well, I understand you've just started coastal rowing, and I've only been doing coastal rowing myself for about 6 years. So I'll come back and visit you in a few years and see how you're doing with your Atlantic ambitions.
So so we're doing live podcasting. We're at Business Junction here.
Yeah.
And what do you do in real life, or this is all you do?
At the moment, this is what I'm doing, and I also care for my mum, who's not very well at the moment. But prior to that, I had a career in corporate world. I was an accountant for lots of telecoms companies, so I've completely flipped and I'm
You
doing
have completely flipped.
Yes. And I'm using those skills now to help bring this project together.
And is there any charitable side, or?
Yeah, we've found that we love rowing because being in the water and nature really helps our mental health.
Yeah.
So we're looking for sponsorship for charities. Wilderness Foundation, which helps to promote mental health well-being.
What's it called?
Wilderness Foundation.
Wilderness Foundation.
They're
Okay.
rewilding Britain, so it looks after our coastline, but also
Yeah.
any part of the habitat of the UK. And the Children's Heart Federation. And the reason we've brought those into our remit is because they look after families of children that are having heart operations, but also
Oh my goodness.
encourage
Children's Heart
those
Foundation. Wow.
children
Yeah.
into sport after they've had their
Oh, this
operation.
is massive. This is, oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Oh my goodness. So, oh wow, I just kind of a bit of a mic drop there. So, yeah, this is really big. So, how much are you aiming to raise?
We want to raise another 50,000 for our campaign costs.
Yeah.
And then we're hoping to raise 50,000 for our
Okay.
charities.
Wow. Okay. So big numbers.
Yes.
You're an accountant. You'll do
Yeah.
it.
We've already raised a lot of money. So,
Have you?
Yeah, we're got 2/3 of our original budget.
Cool.
But yes, it's last push now before we go in December.
Okay. So have you got the other women here, or is it just you?
No, it's just me today because they do have corporate careers in the city still.
Oh,
So
so
they
they're all amazing women.
They are
Yeah.
amazing. They're amazing business women, but when we're at home and we're with our friends, we are completely ordinary women.
Yeah.
We've just chosen to try and do something extraordinary.
Just chosen to
Yeah.
row 3,000 miles. The great thing I know, because I know people have done that race. I know actually someone who won it, and that was quite a while back when it was like, well, it's still a crazy thing to do. But what he remembers, and I kind of got a little bit of sort of envy here about what you're going to get experience. Apparently, like seeing like leaping dolphins and being completely in that all the stars and like the stars falling into the sea. He just described how remarkable it was. So that whole nature side of it.
Yeah. I'm always hoping for some fabulous nights where you can see the galaxy,
Yeah.
where you can see the bioluminescence
Yeah.
on the oars, but then the nature, turtles, dolphins,
Yeah.
whales.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So apparently your life is never quite the same afterwards.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it would be interesting to sort of see how I do.
Yeah, and the guy he did it with, they are the closest of friends. And the guy he did it with actually married a woman who did it, called Sally Kettle. He's quite well known. She did it twice. Did it with her mother. Has written a book about it. And I always feel that, I think it definitely changed him. It's something to push yourself to those limits. You're really finding out who you are. Because are you going to do it 2 hours on, 2 hours off?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's what they're
Wow.
aiming for.
That would kill me. No, I'd be like, no, I'm not going to, and your hands are all going to be chewed up.
Yeah, your hands get chewed up. But you see, you must have had to push yourself to limits to do the career that you had.
Yeah.
So-
I do love to push myself, but I like to me, rowing is really fine and creative and perfect. And, racing, it could be just winning margins might be 0.1. Whereas kind of the long distance, that's something completely and utterly different, isn't it? It's just a question of will, which I can see how exciting that would be. I think I'm more of a show off. I like to be looking across and racing, seeing everyone. I like to have that 8-lane racing.
Yeah.
I'm more like I like that intensity of the competition.
Yeah, we've not got the fine margins of competition that you would have experienced. Our nearest competitors are going to be probably 50 miles away.
Yeah.
And you're going to be looking at a computer screen to see where the dots are.
You see, that's what would get me, because I'm competitive. I'd be like, okay, and you'd have to be really careful not to burn yourself out, because they're always joking about don't get me. I'd probably be like, yes, I'm on it, and I would be so competitive, and keeping that level of competitiveness over basically almost a couple of months. That's a bit of a stretch, isn't it?
Absolutely.
You really got to think about and there are people that have done it and just couldn't take it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think as well is you're going to find yourself possibly in the middle of the fleet, or you could even find yourself towards the back of the fleet.
Yeah.
But it's keeping your mindset going enough that you can carry on and just complete it would be amazing.
Well, exactly. It's the mindset, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so it's what you prepare yourself for. To bring it to what I do, when people go through a divorce or separation, it is thinking it's not a sprint, it is a journey. And it's kind of like that keep going, isn't it? I can see the comparisons and just think, okay, maybe this isn't going as well, but I need to finish this, and maybe I need to change my strategy or my expectations. Maybe I'm not going to win it, or maybe I'm going to be in the middle. And just to keep that going and do the best you can and find out about yourself.
Yeah, and with your business, it's keeping that goal of what you want to achieve in mind. So going through that legal process, but remembering that you want to come out of it happy, complete, empowered, and maybe let some of the little things go on that journey, which is hard.
So it's interesting. So how often do you meet up at the moment, the four of you?
We meet it up virtually every week.
Yeah.
And we meet up on our boat every month at the moment. But we're practically family.
I was going to say, you're going to get to know each other.
Yeah.
The guys that did it, they were naked. Are you going to do it naked, or what do you think? Because you don't want to chafe, apparently. That's why it's quite good to be naked. So at that level, you're going to get to know each other.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to do it naked, but we probably will be in the equivalent of our bra and pants.
Yeah.
At some point.
And just going through that mental challenge, you're going to find out so much about yourselves and each other. It'd be interesting. I don't know if I think I would prefer to do it like you with four. I don't think I could ever do it on my own. I don't think I could do that. I think you might lose it completely.
I personally couldn't either.
Yeah.
I know somebody who has.
Yeah.
Dawn Wood is, she's actually just got the world record because she's done it 5 times.
Wow.
And she's done it on her own
Yeah.
as part of a team of 12,
Yeah,
4, and she's doing it our year as well in a pair.
yeah.
So I haven't asked her yet what her favourite experience
Interesting.
is, but I've got a feeling it might be on her own.
Yeah. Well, she must. I mean, yeah. I think if I was on my own, I would find. I think I'd just be scared that. I mean, that takes a lot of bravery, doesn't it? I mean, you have support boats, I suppose,
There
but
is a support yacht.
Yeah.
It can be up to 4 days away from you.
oh my god.
So you've
I
got
think on your own. Oh my!
Yeah.
I can't even.
you have a
compute that.
life raft
Yeah.
with supplies for 4 days.
Yeah.
Because that's the key measure. So
Yeah.
you're either reliant on a passing ship or that yacht getting to you. So
I think I'm much more of a team person. My rowing career was always within teams. I think that's why with Family Law Cafe it's all teams. You know, it's like working together, getting the right team, and I find that really interesting how people do work together and how you can be more as a team than you are as individuals.
exactly, you've all got different skills that you can bring to the experience. We've all got different personalities, so that's going to really help.
Yeah,
And when you're bored, one day you want somebody who's really up, but then you need somebody else who's maybe calm under pressure, that
Yeah.
sort of thing.
yeah. I mean, I've been in racing crews. Well, the first one I was in was my junior one, and so we were together for about a year, no, 2 years as juniors, and then I was in my silver medal crew. We were together. We had one change over about 3 years, so we were together for 3 years. And in the last year, it was because there were kind of issues. That's why we didn't win. We didn't get the gold medal. I think was mainly because we just began to sort of, the unity was cracking. Unfortunately, when we got our silver medal, we were absolutely aligned, and we were very, very different characters. And there were times where I would have to come in and pick us up as a crew, you know, and the different things that happened to us. So it's very, very intense. That's the thing about rowing, is that particularly because we were rowing, not sculling. So people don't know you're doing a mirror image of the other person. You cannot do it on your own. So I would sit at 3 and I would be really setting my mind into their mind. I wasn't looking at anything. I was just feeling how they moved.
Yeah, and that's part of the meditation effect that I really love, and,
Yes.
and brings me a really
Yeah.
big sense of satisfaction. So yeah,
We're going to have to stop because we're
Yeah.
just going to get into talking rowing all day. We'll let you go. Have a great day at Business Junction.
Thank you
Really,
very
really
much.
nice to talk, and we'll definitely be talking again.
thank you very much. Thanks.
This is the Family Law Cafe podcast on the road.